Hello, and welcome to Informant 46. Informant 46 is a community action show that addresses the issues in the community. Not only in the city of Tuskegee, but we'll cover issues in the city of Tuskegee, Franklin, Notasoga, and Short, the Brownville area also. So if there's any issues that you publicly want to be addressed, please let me know. My name is Jamal Davis, and I'm your host for this show. My first guest used to be a member of the city council. He's also been a former mayor of Tuskegee. He was an instructor of the chemistry, biology, and physics department, along with various other jobs and titles that he's held. Some of his highlights from his career are when he was mayor, he actually had 2 water tanks brought into the city, holding an additional 1.5 million gallons of water that was needed for the citizens and that of the commons. He established a youth center while he was mayor. He also cleared the land and paved the way for the CVS project to be brought to Tuskegee. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce my guest for this evening and for this show, the Honorable Mayor Ronald Williams. Mr. Mayor, thank you for your time and coming onto our show. And I know that you're a busy man, so I promise not to hold you long, but we have a couple of questions that I know we'd like to go over and see what are your views on these. If I can get straight into it, what is the role, this has been discussed a lot, and I noticed that through working with different politicians in the city that, I'm starting to get more of an idea, but so that we can make sure that everybody's educated on it. What is the role of the city manager versus that of the mayor?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on your show. Let me answer that by saying that regardless who is elected mayor of the city, male, female, whoever, the authority of the mayor is limited. It's the city manager who actually has the authority to do the day-to-day operations. For example, these problems or these complaints that you hear, dilapidated buildings, poor streets, overgrown lots, all of these are under the authority of the city manager. Now, oftentimes, the mayor gets blamed. And regardless of who the mayor is always going to get blamed. Me personally, I never endorsed the city manager concept. I fought against it when they first tried to introduce it. The city manager concept does not give our local, young, intelligent African Americans the opportunity for leadership in a political system. You see, it's very important that the mayor has the authority to do these things that we all are concerned about. You can vote him in or out of office. Now, one might ask, well, why do you need a mayor? Well, under this form of government, the mayor has basically 4 functions. He conducts city council meetings. He represents us, the city, on local, state, national, and international level. He's focused, he or she should be focused on keeping businesses in our community, attracting new businesses to our community. This is very important. Focus should also be on health care. Focus should be on education. These are the areas under this form of government that the mayor has the authority, the wherewithal with. And I might say our present mayor fits that bill. I mean, when you come down to representing us locally, nationally, internationally, you can't beat Johnny. When you come down to us focusing on trying to get health care, you can't beat Johnny. He's trying to get a hospital, always been trying to get a hospital. When it comes down to education, you can't beat Johnny. He introduced a bill to generate additional money through the dog track. When it comes down to retaining jobs, you cannot beat Johnny. Nobody can say that Johnny Ford is not out there hooping and hollering about getting Victoryland back started. And not that I'm crazy about Victoryland. I'm not crazy about gambling, period. But the point is, it does create jobs, and he's out there fighting. So in those 4 areas, and no one can dispute how the dignity that he has when he represents us internationally, nationally, the political connection. All these things are important. If in a political system, if you're going to get something for your city, for your community, you have to be connected. You have to be politically connected. Nobody gives you nothing. You got to do just like Lewis Allen. You got to have a program. He wants something, the politician wants something, you got to want something. So this form of government, I never agreed with it. Our community is too small for it. You're paying an enormous amount of money for someone to do what Johnny Ford did and what I did for peanuts. So it's a very uncomfortable form of government for me. If I want something done, I got to call the city manager. And if the city manager does not feel like doing it, nothing I can do about it. I can't vote him out of office. If I want something done under a mayor-council form of government, I can call the mayor. The mayor doesn't do it. I get a group vote, we just, vote him out of office. So that's my take on the city manager versus mayor-council form of government.
If I may ask you, sir, where do you see the city of Tuskegee now? And then, of course, let's say 4 years from now.
The city of Tuskegee has and always have had a golden opportunity. The potential has always been there for us to outshine any other community in this area. We have an intellectual system, Tuskegee University, rich in history. We have people who have served at the university and at the community level who are internationally renowned. So, personally, I think God blessed this community. And people start talking about, well, I want to be like Auburn, I want to be like Montgomery. I do not want to be like Auburn. I do not want to be like Montgomery. I want to be like Tuskegee. I want to be in a place where intelligentsia reign, where we can look with pride that here's a place all over the world for African Americans to come and be educated, to be sent back into the world to represent our people and represent our institution. Tuskegee has a great future. We need to focus on what we do have. If you are living in Tuskegee, you're going to make your living at the Tuskegee University, or you're going to make your living at the VA hospital, or general government, or county government, or the Board of Education. These are the areas of employment. And there's nothing wrong with that. All coupled with an institution like Tuskegee University, little small town, academic atmosphere. Nothing wrong with that. Now, to add to it, we need to increase our tourism attraction. For example, let me just give this example. Tuskegee University originated, Tuskegee Institute, Tuskegee Normal School, it originated with Lewis Adams, there with a little shanty at Butler Chapel. I'm sorry, is it Butler? Yeah, Butler Chapel. Now, most people don't even know where it is. There's a monument, there's a granite stone that represents where the shanty used to be. Now, I would propose that you could start at Kellogg Center with signage, giving the direction of where to find the original site. You can start there at North Church Street and work your way down. At North Church Street, you have your sign, and you have a beautiful gold and maroon rock road to get there. Beautiful sidewalk with lighting, tiger paws maybe in the road. Going to that site, and at the bottom of that site is Martin Luther King. And at that site, if you remember, there's a hill, like a vacant space. Right there, you could put all kind of merchandising that is related to Tuskegee University for tourists. That's just one example. There are others. You could have signage leading to the first black sheriff home, the first state representative home, the first black mayor's home. You know, I mean, we got to get serious and start dealing with signage. You can have billboards every 50 miles from Tuskegee, going all the way back to the Tennessee line, to the Georgia, you know, signage, big, huge signs showing Carver Research Foundation, showing the home of Booker T. Washington, come see, showing Moton Field. Tourism can generate some serious money for this community. And at this time, we have probably about 1.3, you know, about 1 million people coming through here. Well, it's 500 some odd thousand, coming through here on an annual basis just to visit the limited area on the campus. So tourism is our hope, is our future.
Do you think that with tourism, I know one of the biggest event that we have once a year here in Tuskegee, of course, is the college's homecoming. How do you feel about adding larger events?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. The events we have presently should be extended, and they should be advertised more than they are being advertised. But they should be extended. The Carver Festival should be one of the biggest things in this area. Everybody is honoring George Washington Carver and Dothan and everywhere. And here's the home, the birthplace of this genius. And we have something around the square, and it's all right, but it needs to be enhanced. It needs to be on television, on Channel 12, Channel 8, you know, everywhere. So we definitely need to enhance our attractions. And the Tuskegee Airmen's Museum, there's so much more to be done there. For example, there's a $58 million project that nobody's even talking about. You see, let me just digress for a moment. Everybody know Bob Riley, and everybody now hate Bob Riley because he was destroyed the dog track. Well, Bob Riley was my friend, and everybody know that. And I dealt with Bob Riley just like Lewis Adams dealt with Brooks and the rest of those guys who came for the vote. I wanted something. The people wanted to have a recognition for the Negro Airmen, as they called it at that time. And Bob Riley, when I talked with him, and with Dr. Payton, who was president of the university at that time, said that the first strategy is to get the place declared a National Historic Site. He did that. Second phase, get some money in it, $2.5 million. He did that. To start renovating the buildings and what have you. And of course, we wanted something out of it. The next phase is a $56 million aerospace center that is supposed to be on that site, where our young people can learn aviation, where they can learn meteorology, things of this nature. Now, nobody is pursuing that. Chappie Jane is it's destined to be a 3-lane highway. Nobody's pursuing that. It is important that when people leave office and new people come in office, that there is some kind of connection and understanding of what you had going. And see, this has been lost. Nobody's doing nothing. But it's still a great attraction. People come to it. You'll be surprised. You go there this evening, you'll see people from Tennessee, Kentucky, Ohio, Illinois. I do this. I go out there and ride and park my car and watch the folks come, park their cars, and they're looking. See? So more attractions like that will certainly generate the type of revenues we need.
I agree with you on that. I know another hot issue in the city right now is that of the utilities board and the 5% franchise fee. So how do you feel about the utilities board's 5% franchise fee? And on that, if you could kind of elaborate, maybe if you know kind of the backstory of how this originated.
Well, Mr. Davis, if you don't mind, I want to look directly in the camera when I talk about
By all
this
means.
one. Okay, is that all right with you?
By all means.
See, there's been some confusion. People have written about it in the newspaper, people have talked about it on television, the lawyers keep injecting it, and they keep talking about this resolution that was passed in '97. Well, that's from my administration. Yes, I passed it. There's nothing illegal about a resolution that's asking for 5% franchise tax. Let me show you something. City government, general government budget is based on your taxes, sales tax, based on gas tax, it's based on property tax, it's based on license fees, it's based on franchise fees. All these make up your government. The gas company pays franchise fees. The telephone company pays franchise fees. The cable company pays franchise fees. All utilities pay franchise fees. Our utility that we own also has to pay a franchise fee. So pass a resolution, not unusual about those who would pass before me for a franchise fee. Pass a resolution, 5% franchise fee, to be paid by general government. Now, nothing is wrong or illegal about that. The problem is, and I've heard the mayor try to explain it, the problem is when we lost the system and Mark Enid came in, he had reservations about paying the 5% to city government, of which city government needs to operate on. So he decided not to pay it. I assume that he thought, he finally came to a sense and said, well, this is legal, I got to pay this. So instead of paying it from general government fund, like we had always been doing, always have been doing, he decided to put it on the backs of the individual customers. That is illegal. That is wrong. I did not do it. Johnny Ford did not do it. Mark Enid did it. But let me say this. Those people who are suing the utility department services and suing general government, ultimately it's going to hurt us individually. Because common sense tells you, if you sue the utility services and they have to pay money back, they're going to go up on our utility rates. So those of you who are laughing that, oh, they're suing the city, oh, they're suing the utility board, I'm telling you, that laughter is going to turn into a cry after the judge makes his final decision, because you, I, and everybody else are going to be paying higher utility. But I did not put it on the video.
Mr. Mayor, how do you think the city should resolve this whole issue with the utility board's 5% franchise fee? I've heard different talks of, with it being a class action suit, that means the people won't receive as much money as they think they will if there is a judgment in favor of the citizens. I've heard others that say maybe we should just find a way to reimburse. How do you think the city should resolve this?
Well, it's a twofold problem. The city is going to have a problem with a shortfall. As I understand it, the judge have stopped the money coming into the city from the utility department. That means that we're going to have a shortfall, probably $1 million, $100,000 a month, and that's going to be hard to replace. That's about $1.2 million a year. Secondly, the courts, in my opinion, is somebody going to get some money back, because it was, in my opinion, illegal for Enid to put the 5% on the customer. Had he continued paying it like I was paying it, like the mayor was paying it, the folks before us was paying the franchise fee, wouldn't have been no problem. But I think the judge has gotten confused with calling the franchise fee illegal, but that's just my opinion. How is it going to end? It's going to probably end with the judge demanding that people get some money back. It definitely cannot end with the judge denying the city the franchise fee. even if we have to go to the Supreme Court, because that is totally legal. All municipalities are doing it. So I don't know where he's coming from with that. So now we have a problem. In the short term, we got to figure out how to replace $100,000 a month to city government, how to replace the money that would have to be paid back. Now, these things can be done without increasing the utility rate. I won't go into detail on it, but it definitely can be done that way. But with human nature and a crisis, we look for the easy way out. And the easiest way is to put the burden on us. So instead of us paying 5%, which was illegal, we're going to now be paying 5% higher, I'm just using that figure, but we're going to now be paying higher utility rate per kilowatt. That's how it's going to end. And where do we go from there? God bless us, Tuskegee. We survive. I can't mess Tuskegee up. You can't mess Tuskegee up. I honestly believe that God has a plan for this community. So it is going to thrive. It's going to flourish, regardless of you, me, or any other distractor. So Tuskegee's future is great. I would just like to see a young African American to have the opportunities to serve as mayor as I had, with the authority to bring about change. See, serving as mayor without authority to affect the day-to-day life, I wasn't interested in that. I want to affect day-to-day life. I want to see the pollution of all those lights. Have you ever gone down South Main Street or these other streets and you look up in there, you see all these electric lines everywhere, just all over there. You don't see that going into Auburn, you know. I want to see our community come into its being and put those electric lines up on the ground. Simple things like that. But Tuskegee's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. Nobody's going to mess up Tuskegee.
I agree with you. The quality of business that's here locally now, two things. How do you, or what is your take on the quality of business? And do you, you know, a lot of people are saying we need to bring big business to Tuskegee to help us flourish. How do you feel about that as well?
See, being realistic, we need to do our own thing. We need more local businesses, developing the local community. You don't have to go out of town to start a retail clothing store like Walmart. You can get a couple of smart entrepreneurs, get a building, and we can start selling our own pants and shirts and underwear and shoes and socks. You don't have to be a genius to do these things. So, but we need a mechanism to organize so we can participate in the business sector of this community. That's why the small business office that I operated years ago was effective in the small business, you know, in the local business group. I'm not one who's seeking outside business. I'm sorry. I would rather develop our own locally owned businesses. I'm not one that's trying to be like Atlanta. I would just love to be a nice college community for retired professional people to have their day in the sun, you see. But contrary to me now, there are others who want this, want that, want that, want to feel this one. Fine. But for me, let's start within. Let's fill that square up with local entrepreneurs instead of out-of-town entrepreneurs. Because see, and I don't care how good the business is, if it's out of town, the money goes with it. So you haven't done yourself any good. We need to concentrate inward instead of outward. But attracting new businesses, no problem with that. No problem. I think the mayor is on the right path of trying to get businesses here at Exit 38. That's be great. No problem. But on the other hand, we have local participation. Jeff Pollard is a local boy. These are local people, you see. And that's how this thing needs to be done.
What do you feel about, I've heard talk where the local banking institutions that we have outside of Tuskegee Federal Credit Union, that customers are dissatisfied with the way that, you know, these big branches are working. And I know there's talks of community banking coming about. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I feel like, we say Donald Trump. But seriously, it's a matter of this. Your financial institution, once you understand the system, you can change the system. Your financial institutions are obligated to the local community. Their charter dictates that they must participate economically in the local community. Now, if you don't understand that, you go to the bank, he tell you no, well, you didn't get the loan. But if all your credentials are correct, you're supposed to be able to go into that local bank, make a loan, and walk out with the money. Not necessarily the same day, but be approved, if all is equal. That's not going on here. It's kind of like I might or I might not. So my point is this, when local government gets some muscle to go and say, look, you have an obligation to our people, they'll straighten up. I'll give you a typical example. We proved this. The Twin Theater was a $500,000 project. And the mayor said, I was working with the mayor for it at the time, he said, well, you know, we want a theater. Yeah, that'd be great. All the theaters were at that time just about dying out, but there's still a little life left. So how are we going to finance it? We finance it locally. That was my first, let's do it locally. Well, can you get that kind of money? Yes. The mayor and I set up a meeting with the brothers that owned the Alabama Exchange Bank. And we told them in no uncertain terms what their responsibility were to the community and what this group of people were trying to do for this community. Invest in us. Live up to your charter. And we got $500,000. Now, why can't they do that today? Because you don't go and sit in front of the man. Just that simple. And let him see that you are as intelligent as he is. That's how you get your money.
Mr. Mayor, what do you think city government needs to do to increase the revenue for its citizens?
Not one thing in terms of increasing a cost on the citizen. What they need to do is to refine their finances. In other words, I give you one simple example. There is no excuse to ever have equipment problems. You ain't got money to fix your garbage truck. You ain't got money to... Yeah, there's no excuse for that. Because that garbage fee should have first been placed on the cost for operating and upkeep of your sanitation department, the cost for employees, and a little taste of profit. And then for supplies and materials. Now once you figure that out, then you can set a fixed amount. And that fixed amount is supposed to take care of everything and give you a profit. It's mathematically impossible to mess up. You can do the same with electricity. You can do the same with water. You see, electricity, you got about 7,000 customers. You look at your annual purchase of the utility system from the municipal electrical authority. What's my annual purchase? Let me just give you a figure. Let's just say $10 million. That's how much I buy to sell to my people. I buy $10 million worth to sell to individual customers. Now with that kind of knowledge, knowing how many customers you have, knowing how many employees you have, knowing what your equipment upkeep is, you can look at your books and see what you did for the last 2, 3, 5 years, then you fix a fee. And that fee that we pay on a monthly basis should cover everything plus legal profit. And you do that all the way down the line with the money you have. General government, when I was there, we generated probably about $7 million. If you can't take $7 million for this little community, man, something's wrong. So my point being, we just need to seriously price right and manage efficiently.
I agree.
Now, of course, any new income is icing on the cake now, but yeah.
I think one more question for you, sir. Why did you settle in Tuskegee? Out of all the places across the United States and I mean across the world, you choose anywhere to settle down?
Boy, I like this one better than any of them. I like this question. Let me take you back for a moment. At 73 years old, I think you went to school with my kids, Mr. Wallace went to school with my kids. At 73 years old, I actually saw white water and colored water on the back. I actually saw white bathroom, colored bathroom, or white bathroom, and you go in the back and use yours. There wasn't no bathroom for black person. You go from the back. See, I saw that. I actually saw black people having to come to the back door. I actually saw with my own eyes white men come in my family business and take black women who from their husbands and bring them back. I saw these things. I saw with my own eyes a black man have a nice car, he get his head beat up. I saw it with my own eyes as a young kid. When I got to Tuskegee, see, I saw black people moving off the sidewalk for white people. When I got to Tuskegee, I saw professional black people. I saw lawyers. I saw doctors. I saw fine cars. I saw fine homes. I thought I was in heaven. I thought I was in heaven. And I had planned to live here. When I got back here, after being away 1 year, I immediately started, well, in college, I started working for change. One of my sociology instructors, Dr. Stanley Smith, I helped him, he taught me into getting involved, I helped him become one of the first black council people. Then later on after I graduated, I helped Lucius Amerson, the first black sheriff. I was there with him day one. I was there on the pulpit at his funeral. Then later on, these were people I worked hand in hand, close with. I worked with Thomas Reed. I was with him from day one, all the way to the pulpit to his grave. Later on, I worked with Johnny Ford, of whom I still work with today. These are first blacks. Then I worked with James Hopkins, who was the first clerk. So my involvement politically goes back to the first elected black official. And all of this was in an effort to control. Tuskegee, man, when I get in my car in Tuskegee, I know ain't nobody gonna bother me because I'm a black man. Now you might bother me, but you ain't gonna get me because I'm black. See, that's freedom. Why do I love Tuskegee? Freedom. I'm able to control my own destiny. My people are able to control their own destiny. Are we perfect? No. But I would rather, I don't want to be mistreated by anybody, but I certainly do not want to be mistreated simply because I'm a black person. And that's not going to happen in Tuskegee. You get up and you ride to Auburn, Montgomery, a whole new ball game. But I can get in my car in the mornings, which I often do, and drive throughout this entire county, as the young kids say, just chilling, and feel free, knowing that I control my own destiny. Now, I'm tired. I stay at home, stay right in the studio, play my grandkids. So Tuskegee, for a black person, this is utopia. Now, a lot of them has forgotten the things that I mentioned of where we as a people have come from. So in answer to your question, with my background of coming from a segregated environment into full bloom of self-control, oh man, that's worth more than money.
I definitely understand that. I know I said one question ago, but just one more for you, sir. Currently, within the last couple city council meetings that the city's had, there's been talks of, well, we don't have the money to close or to open the city pool, to refurbish it appropriately, then pay staff to work it and whatnot. Others are adamant about fundraising for the city pool. Where do you feel in?
I say bump. There's no excuse for the swim pool not to be open. See, you can do it very simply. You combine the person, you utilize personnel from city government and utility department. We have people who know everything there is to know about pumps. And that's what a swimming pool is about. It uses a pump, you know, a motor. Simple. We got people at the utility department know everything about sticking two pipes together. That's plumbing. We got people in general government who know how to purchase a filter tank. See, a swimming pool ain't nothing but a filter tank, plumbing, and electrical. So, what's the problem? I hear the paper say $50,000 for this, $100,000. Give me a break. Get somebody from utility department, somebody from, my brother-in-law, Bill, could go down there and fix that thing in a little no time. You know, I mean, these are simple problems that we're complicating. If Johnny Ford had the authority, it'd be done. I know it because he thinks like I think when matters come like this now. It would be done. It wouldn't be begging for no money. I tell you something else would be done too. This road down there at Chappie Jane, that is a shame. It's a crime and disgrace that we have a tourist attraction that potential tourists can only come to it from one direction. And this is one of our major tourist attractions. Man, you can take a backhoe and kick some dirt in that doggone hole until you get ready to do it permanently. These are the type things that, where I favor a mayor council form of government. Because you can go to the mayor and he knows that if he doesn't get up off the pot, you're going to vote him out of office. You go to the city manager, he can smile at you, and he's just another employee. So, you can ask for all that.
No, I thank you for the input, though. Well, Mr. Mayor, that's all the questions that I have for you at this time, and I do appreciate you coming on to the show, especially with this being our first episode. I know there's a lot of questions that citizens wanted to get answers to, and I'm glad that we can have somebody on that works with a day-to-day, on these problems from day to day, you know, on a day-to-day basis. So I appreciate your time, sir, and being on the show.
Thank you, sir, for having me.
All right.
Have a good day.
You too, sir.